We have our first and last panel of the session, and we're going to talk about distribution, specifically distribution for tours, activities, and attractions. So I'd like to bring up our panel now. First of all, Mahender Tanwar from Experience Hub, Julia Rando from Get Your Guide, Soren Sultania from Head Out, and Isam Salah from Ocean Air Travels. So we have a lot of industry knowledge and expertise here. Appreciate y'all coming, and we're going to dive right in. I want to get an idea of who's in the audience. Who here would consider themselves an operator, what we call an operator, which is a tour operator, an activity, or an attraction? So I want to show you a map of what distribution looks like in our sector. It's very different, as you've heard all day if you've been here, than hotel and air. So if we can bring up the map for distribution for tours and activities. The distribution map for tours and activities. Let's talk about, when you see this, what do you think of when you see this as our distribution map? I'll start with you, Julia. You fit in over here on the OTA side, right? Get Your Guide is in that box. What do you see when you look at this map?
No, it's a complex map indeed. A lot of different opportunities. What I do see though, as we've all heard here today, that we're moving more and more online. We will see a rapid shift, which has already happened through the pandemic, through online. And us here, Get Your Guide, and I would say other OTAs as well, as we are not only ticket resellers, we're also partners and we're a tech company. We are here to enable you and to facilitate that growth for you, all of you operators and attractions, etc., to be able to do what you're best at, to give unforgettable experiences.
So Mahender, there's connectivity is that second line below supply. Are there too many layers here? Like when you see this, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, like Julia said, it's very fragmented. I mean, if you look at a typical hotel distribution, in some ways it flows like that, but there is too many, verticals here. I think one thing I see common is standardization and not enough connectivity. So, yeah, I would go with that.
I have a slightly different viewpoint here, which is I don't think there's too many verticals there. And I'll tell you why I think that. The reason I think that is because what you're seeing there, like, yes, it looks complex and yes, it's messy, but that's not surprising though, right? We are at the peak of an adoption curve, right, for technology in this segment as far as distribution is concerned. And when you are in the middle of an adoption curve, you will see a lot of different players try a lot of different approaches to what works, because we're not hotels, we're not flights. And so no one has a crystal ball that says, or 5 years ago, or even today, that says, this is exactly the approach that works and nothing else works, right? And so it's not surprising that you're seeing a lot of different providers or players try different approaches, right? Now, some of these are legacy that have existed forever, but a lot of these are companies that have come into play over the last decade or so as tech adoption has ramped up in this space. And so I think what you're seeing is a lot of activity and a lot of innovation, which is good. Now, of course, as this matures, as the ecosystem matures and as tech adoption matures, you will see consolidation. You will see some of these layers go out of, become obsolete because they no longer make sense. But for today, this makes complete sense.
It makes sense. So it is what it is.
And it gives me more, energy seeing that, because it means that people are trying different approaches and they're trying to see what makes the most sense for experiences, right? Rather than just saying, okay, this works in hotels, let's do only this and not try anything else.
So
right?
Assam, you're the operator on this panel, and you have to navigate these channels. Are there some that you don't worry about, some that you do? Is this the right mix? Is this the picture that you look at it from your business perspective?
I think that's the reality. We are not going far from that. But I feel that the technology is really helping operators and helping travelers to find the right experiences. And I think we should even have much more OTAs and much more distribution channels that can really focus on regional. We still have the cruises are not on OTAs. We still have the group tours are not friends with OTAs, with distribution channels. And as an operator, I see that we have a lot of day tours and day trips that require a lot of landing pages to be visible on, and we are in big competition sometimes with attractions, with tickets and experiences not supportive to the day tours and the tour operators. So I think it's a great, and I think there is still more to come post-COVID, and the game is changing rapidly to the technology and the distribution post-COVID.
So overall, the map is the map. That's what is existing today. It's okay, and it might change for now. Let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about, what do you think is going to happen in distribution on in-destination experiences over the next, say, 1 to 3 years in the GCC region overall? Like, what are we going to see for changes?
I think there are 3 main trends that we are seeing, right? Which are relevant to GCC, to some extent relevant globally as well. One is we are seeing the TAM for experiences as a whole really evolve and expand very quickly. And that's happening for 2 reasons, right? It's happening, one, because I think there is an increasing audience for experiences, right? Especially, at least for us, what we're seeing is users below the age of 35 are consuming experiences much more than what they were doing, let's say, 5 years ago, right? So the percentage of users booking experiences has gone up massively, and I think that's because experiences are now becoming more central and critical to the entire travel experience or to a trip versus, what it was perhaps half a decade ago. And I think along with that, what we're also seeing is because distribution pipelines are becoming a lot more connected because they're more technology enabled, and so the time to market is faster, the intelligence with how you can reach a specific audience is better. And so that's allowing also a lot more niche experiences to come online, right? Or become available to consumers in a way that perhaps wasn't possible with traditional distribution pipes a decade ago, right? So I think you're seeing both new experiences come on in a way that's because the friction is a lot lesser and the audience is changing. We're also seeing more intelligence around availability and pricing. It's still very early days, but we're seeing, especially in the GCC here, like a lot more intelligence now in terms of how people are using pricing and availability to improve matchmaking and improve discovery. And I think that's something that's going to evolve very rapidly over the next 5-10 years. And I don't have a crystal ball, but I think that's an area that will definitely see a lot more activity.
Julia, would love to hear what you think over the next 2 to 3 years for the GCC region overall. What's going to change in distribution? Like, what's going to be different? We heard Surin's point of view is how it might level the playing field for some of the smaller guys. What are some of the other ideas?
Yeah, I think a lot of what Søren mentioned as well, and a little bit what I was talking about earlier. I think we're at the stage where we really need to use technology, and I think that will support us both in pricing, how this will develop, what type of tools, what data that will drive our decisions. And as we know, this market is still at the stage where many other markets in the travel industry are. So I think we will see huge difference in that and what type of resources we will use to drive our business to both make it more efficient, more customer-centric, be always available at last minute, have the right pricing, dynamic pricing, how that will develop. It is still at very early stages in many of these areas, but I think this is what we will see, and this is what will help all of you as well to be able to manage your business easier and focus on your revenue growth.
So, Mahender, you've been in this game for many years. First, why don't you tell us a little bit about Experience Hub? You joined pretty recently, and it's probably an organization we all should know about, but maybe don't. So just give us a really quick intro to Experience Hub.
Thank you. Yes. So Experience Hub is a subsidiary of Meral, which is a group based in Abu Dhabi that owns another brand called Farah, which operates the majority of theme parks on the island. And it has various other assets such as Hilton Hotels, stake in that. Experiences Hub, international distribution arm of these experiences and packages for the entire island. We are the, so to say, tourism arm of the island to promote it overseas. So you were talking about if there is a DMO here earlier. So you can say part of what Experiences does is promoting the Yas Island as a destination, both here and overseas. And we do that number of ways in which we have a B2B portal where any tour operator or a DMC or a client can log in and book tickets or packages that are curated for them. We also have a technology solution that we are able to connect and bring all local operators and attraction on the island and beyond in Abu Dhabi and connect them and simplify.
So it sounds similar to what Prio Hub is doing here in Dubai. But what do you see then from that perspective, changes for distribution that are going to happen over the next couple of years?
Definitely more and more online connectivity. We will see a lot more smaller, medium-sized operators moving and using some sort of platform. Because one thing everybody has learned during COVID is simplification. There are still companies operating on telephone and phones, and you see it on the map there. That I think is going to go away. It's going to take time. There will be some new players there. Where I see it, more and more companies signing up, whether with Prio Hub is a solution or us or another platform, and there's many res tech companies here, because to scale and simplify and to service the customer better and take advantage of what's in the market, whether it's the best price available, and similarly having a seamless experiences when customer get to the destination. I think all of that, the technology is the fundamental. I think it's fair to say this region has evolved a lot in the last 3-4 years in that, but there's a lot more to be done.
Okay, let's move to a different thought, Assam. Other than OTAs, which was well represented here, what are the other primary distribution channels that you're seeing that are the most important to your business?
You mean in the GCC or overall, worldwide?
GCC.
I would say in the GCC we have a big percentage of business going to the cruises, as I was mentioning before. The group tours, so much regions are still relying on the group tours. They are not booking online for sure, because we can say that OTAs are mostly for individual and FITs. Still, the concierge is playing a big role here in the GCC and in the hotels, especially in Dubai. I would say that online bookings are 30%, and still there's 70 and 70+% going to the offline. That's one of the many channels now, but still we are sure this is moving year by year to the online, and we could feel that as an operator that our offline partners were not that post-COVID as before, because everyone, as Mahendra was saying, everyone is trying to simplify the things. The charter flights are not there. Cruises took too much time to come back. MICE business took time to come back, and it's still also the corporate business. However, I'm sure that the concierge will remain, and the industry sellers will remain, like the hotels and the concierge, because there are a big percentage of customers, and a lot of customers still believe to talk to someone face to face. They don't want to go and get the phone and just book something online. And it will remain a big percentage, but it will never remain as a 70% as we see now.
Julian, what about yourself? So you're one of the largest OTAs in the world. So if I ask, well, what are the other most important channels in the GCC? What do you see as those other channels, and let's get your guys' perspective on how the OTAs will continue to grow.
Good question. Esam is saying many things that is right. I would say though that we see a lot of customers, especially on like the FIT side. People want to book independently. They want to make a choice, and they want to really see like, this is what I want to do. There's a lot of them booking well in advance, using Get Your Guide or other OTAs to be inspired. But there's also the ones who doesn't want to commit, want to book last minute, etc. So I think us and other OTAs will continue to grow, but I still think to all of you, for you to be able to really, for all operators all getting bookings, it's about providing a fantastic customer experience and be available on all platforms. That will be key. And if that then means that it's coming into different markets, which you can see group travels and so on, I think that we will see, but this is kind of my overview, how I look at it.
Any other thoughts on that?
No, I think aligned largely. I'm perhaps not as bullish as Assam is about the future of concierges and face-to-face sales. I perhaps have a different perspective there. I certainly think, as Julia said, that there's a lot more that can be that is being done, and there's that even for last minute users, online channels are becoming more and more relevant. But having said that, I think distribution is not a zero-sum game, and I think that's the larger point that Assam was trying to make, and even Julia, was that distribution is not a zero-sum game. So it's not either or. As an operator, you're probably better off being across multiple channels so that you can reach different user groups and maximize your
to get your
visibility.
mix right, but I want to dive into the concierge, because I know in the States, concierge are going down all the time. You feel like you still get a lot of business from concierge. So is that coming up or down, Mahinder, as far as you can see, in the GCC and also then in the Middle East region overall?
Yeah, I mean, we have a very, very big team for handling YAS concierges. That's one of the things, again, Experiences Hub does, not only for YAS Island, but also for other assets around Abu Dhabi, like Louvre, etc. For us, it's a big business. It has seen the quickest recovery out of all. And I think part of that is probably due to the restrictions in place and not enough international travel happen. So a lot of our neighboring countries or even locals living around UAE are using YAS concierges, because so much has changed in pandemic, where people are not sure what is open, what's not open, what time things closes, what are the requirements, do I need a PCR test? And not all the information is able to go online and distribute, if we say. So the YAS concierge, for example, for us, is a fantastic real-time live source of information who will give you accurate information and will help you to book. Having said that, I would say that I see equally, once we are back to more normalcy, that people do want to spend time. They do want flexibility to book. And interestingly, we also see some very similar trends on our concierge business, people booking late. Earlier it used to be different, but we're not inside a hotel. We are a call center, inbound call center for the concierges, for all the assets. That has really grown for us in last year and a half.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have something to add here. I think Middle East overall, and maybe also GCC, we may see more of these type of desks than we do, for example, in the States. I think, though, that the future may have concierges, etc., but I even think that will be digitalized. Because as long as the information is good enough, and as long as you get what you're looking for when you're trying to book, there's no need, in my point of view, to talk to a person. I think there's always some, but I think that generation will die out more and more and more. Probably a little bit slower in this part of the world than in some other parts of the world. But I think in the end, that's also an advice to everyone here, that as long as you have the right information in place and it makes it really clear and easy to book, then you don't need to ask a question. Just like customer service. Best customer service is no customer service, right? Pre-booking, because it's so easy to find what you're looking for. And I think that will happen everywhere, maybe a little bit at a slower pace here than in the States, for example.
Counterpoint, you started this.
I'm sure it will be digitalized, the travel desks, but I think what Julia means is it will still go to the distribution channels, even if it's a travel desk. Maybe. And I'm sure the OTAs are not leaving the group tours and the cruises away. They're going to keep knocking the door until they get it, because it's a big, big business. And it's still happening with DMCs. And it's still DMCs are coming to us as tour operators. So there is a middleman in the middle anyway with the cruises and the group tours from the regions that come. It will be digitalized, it will take time, and it will move to distribution channels for sure.
You had something to add?
I was just going to add, I think that is the vision where I think the entire industry wants to go. How can our customers find simple information online and make a quick decision to book? The reality is we're not quite there yet. If I ask both of the OTAs on my right and left, and if I look at where I used to be, how many desert safaris you have on your platform? As a consumer, when I go, I don't know what's the difference. And I have a particular need that that OTA search engine can't read what I really want. I'm adding a number of people, I want to do a safari, for example, and it shows me something starting from 50 dirham to 2,000 dirham or 3,000 dirham. And unless I research and research, I'm lost. So that's when the concierge or an expert, somebody on the phone, can help me. This is what I'm looking for. But I agree. I think we need to digitalize that and simplify that in a way how we personalize that for future, where from a very first stage when consumer is entering the data, I'm able to present something relevant. And I think that is where there is a work to do for everybody, how we make it search more relevant.
How operators can work more effectively with OTAs. So do you have a secret sauce of how you work with the OTAs?
Yeah, you just, I would say your unique sales points. You have to create your own USPs and stay away of being a middleman for selling attractions. You must keep your own products and inventory. As Ocean Air now, we are in 5 destinations and 5 countries. We create our own venues. Restaurants, we started creating restaurants to offer cooking classes and to offer also something in the day tours that we offer in Dubai and Abu Dhabi to our customers. I'm sure that attractions can easily connect with OTAs. So what is the need of a tour operator now? Is to create your own USP, add it to the OTAs. It will save a lot of time and a lot of money for you to spend the money on technology. You will hit the button in the thing that you do well. But the most important thing you have to decide for yourself, are you a volume-based company or a niche experience, and you are trying to create a unique experience with few travelers with 1 or 2 hosts in your company? Because that makes difference, because OTAs are relying on volume.
Surin?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll go back to my original point, which is that distribution is not a zero-sum game. So obviously, look at multiple channels and multiple platforms within OTAs, because not everyone has the same market. But taking a slightly different lens, which is that the way to, I mean, what I recommend operators to build on what Assam said is think of OTAs as a strategic partner, right? And then what it allows you to do is 2 things. One is obviously build your distribution pipes, leverage the technology to reach more users. But one of the advantages of OTAs perhaps versus some of the other channels is not just the technology, but the increased transparency and visibility that you get with an OTA versus some of the other pipes. So if you are willing to leverage the data and the insights that most OTAs, and I'm sure, Julia will say this as well, they share with you, and you don't just, let's say, list your product and leave it there, then you can get a lot more out of the platform than, if versus being a passive partner.
So in the
right?
spirit of time, because we're out of it, your point is that listen to your OTA partners, utilize the data they have a ton of data, work with your account managers, and learn from them what sells, what doesn't sell, and work accordingly. Yeah?
Exactly, yep.
Okay. Let's just do a quick speed round because we're out of time, if we could. So I want 1 word for an answer and not more than 1 word, okay? And I'll start with you, Assam.
Sure.
What country in the GCC will see the largest increase in tourism between now and 2025?
UAE.
On a percentage, KSA. Saudi Arabia, I think.
Saudi Arabia. Percentage. I was. You can't go back.
I would say
Not
UAE, although KSA will follow very closely.
Say again.
I would say UAE, but KSA, if my friends
One word. UAE. Okay.
UAE.
UAE?
All right. UAE it is. What will online third-party bookings go up or down between now and 2025? We'll start with Julia.
Up.
Sadly, I have to agree with her.
Up for sure.
Rapidly up.
Will direct bookings go up or down between now and 2025?
Not sure. No. No. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we'll go up.
It'll go up. Power of distribution will evolve.
Down.
You're biased. What will the impact of Google Things to Do be over the next few years in the Middle East region for attractions? Julia?
That's the question.
Oh, wait,
we need
I
to
do have
answer.
answers. I'm sorry. Let me, before you answer. Huge, significant, wait and see, not a big impact.
Not as hoped for.
What?
Not as hoped for.
Not as hoped for, not one of the issues.
Nothing is for free.
Okay.
Wait and see. Definitely not two.
I think I don't think it'll have the impact people think it will.
One word.
One word.
Fair enough. D. Not significant.
Not a lot of impact. Okay.
Wait and see.
Wait and see. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Mahander Tenwar, Julia Randall, Soren Sultania, and Assam Salah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.